If you're a do-it-yourself type of person, you already know that measuring alone can be one of the hardest parts of the project. Say if I wanted to measure up to the ceiling right now. I couldn't because the tape would just bend on me and become completely useless. But if I had a laser tape measure, I would get the results in seconds. So I picked up 5 of the most popular ones to test them out and see which ones would be worth the extra money. Let's go. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Ben from Shopper Advocate, and this channel is all things tech. We review products so you don't waste your money. We drop videos weekly, so if you're into content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. First up, we have the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure, which comes in at $38.97 on Amazon at the time of filming this video. It's very small and compact, and it only has 2 buttons. The red button to activate the laser and take measurements, and the roundup button. That button also lets you switch between different units if you want to measure in meters, centimeters, or just feet. The laser has a range of 100 feet, so we'll be putting that to the test. Next up, we have the Lexivon Digital Tape Measure. This one comes in at $59.97 on Amazon. This is what's considered a hybrid tape measure because it has both a physical tape and a digital laser. The physical tape reaches up to 16 feet and it has auto lock, which is really helpful. The laser goes out to 130 feet, so we'll definitely be checking its accuracy later on. Next up, we have the Fantic A10 Pro. This digital laser tape measure goes for $79.99 on Amazon. This is probably the sleekest looking one in the lineup. The measuring tape auto locks and extends to 9.8 feet, which is a bit shorter than the rest. The retract button is on the bottom, and honestly, you have to press it harder than the others to reel it back in. It feels a bit awkward with that placement. You have a few buttons on the front to control the screen, and the menu lets you measure distance, area, or even volume. This is also where you activate the laser, which claims a reach of 165 feet. They also claim the screen is bright enough to read outdoors, so we'll put that to the test too. Next up is the Almighty Tools Tape Measure. This one comes in at $95.99 on Amazon. It's another hybrid tape measure with a 16-foot physical tape, but it has a massive 328-foot laser. Easily the longest range out of all of them. This one also has a 16-foot crosshair marking feature, which could be super helpful if you're cutting wood or hanging something on a wall and need a straight line. It even has a tripod mount on the bottom, so you can attach it to a tripod or a light stand and use it for leveling or keeping pictures straight. And lastly, we have the Recon T1 Tomahawk. This one comes in at $259 on Amazon. I know it's expensive, but honestly, just by looking at it, you can tell it's premium. It has a very sturdy build with a great grip. It has a 25-foot tape measure and a screen on top that actually shows your measurement as you pull the tape out. You can also save the measurements as you go. If you press the capture button on top, it stores that number on the side display called the e-paper display. This one doesn't have a laser distance measure, but it does have a laser guide, a green laser you can turn on for precise markings. If you download the Rock Job Site app, you can also see your measurements there for organization and sharing. This tape measure claims to be drop tested and water resistant, so we'll definitely put that to the test. But for the first test, we're gonna test accuracy, because if this laser isn't accurate, there's no point of even using it. I'm standing 13 feet from the wall and gonna see how close the lasers get to the exact measurement. First is the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure. The Bosch measures from the back of the tape measure, so I put it right in front of the table. After a few times measuring, it consistently gave me 13 feet and ended up at 13 feet and 5/16 inches. Then the Lexivon Digital Tape Measure. It also measures from the back of the tape measure. After a few times, it consistently gave 13 feet and 1/4 inches. The fraction is small and can be hard to read. Next up is the Fantic A10 Pro. The reference point is at the front, so I put the measuring tape on top of the table. This one consistently read out 13 feet exactly, and the screen is bright and easy to read. Then we have the Almighty Tools Tape Measure. The reference point is in the back of the tape measure. The measurements consistently came out to 13 feet. Then the Recon is out of this competition because it doesn't have a laser, but as you can see, the screen shows the tape measure is out to 13 feet and the screen is big and very easy to read. Most of these lasers claim to have a huge range, so now we're gonna head outside to test that as well. I'm standing 50 feet away from this wall and gonna see if the laser comes up with a precise precise and consistent measurement. First is the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure. The measurement came out to 48 feet and 11 inches. Outside, the screen is bright, the numbers are big and easy to read. Then I tested the Lexavon tape measure. It also consistently gave me the reading of 48 feet and 11 inches. The screen is readable outside, but the fraction is still small. Next up is the Fantic A10 Pro. It gave me 3 different measurements, but all very close. It ended up with 48.57 feet. Then I tested the Almighty Tools tape measure, and that one also gave me a few different readings, but ended up with 49 feet. And again, the Recon is out of this race because it doesn't have a laser tape measuring feature. A big deciding factor for a tape measure is durability. So we're gonna do a drop test and see if they all still function properly. First, from waist level. I dropped the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure, and honestly it scared me because the batteries came out of the back. But once I put them back in and tested it, everything still worked fine. Then I dropped the Lexavon Digital Tape Measure, and the tape measure still worked fine, but the screen kept giving me an error message when I would turn it on and point it at something. Next up is the Fantic A10 Pro. The tape measure still retracted just fine at the same speed, and the laser measure still worked completely fine. Next, I dropped the Almighty Tools tape measure, and the tape measure worked fine, and I tested the laser and it still worked properly as well. And outside, the screen is easy to read. Lastly, I dropped the Recon. The tape measure still retracted at the same speed, the green laser guide still turned on, and the numbers on the screen still functioned properly. Now let's test a drop from a ladder, because you could be working on a ladder and accidentally drop the tape. I'll be testing this from a 6-foot height. First, we have the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure. This time the batteries didn't come out, everything stayed intact, and the laser still worked properly. Then I dropped the Lexavon, which had trouble from the waist level drop. And before, it was giving an error message, and now the screen isn't even turning on at all. So the drop from the ladder height took it out. Next up is the Fantic A10 Pro. When I dropped it, it sounded really bad. The tape measure still retracted at its normal height, but when I was pointing the laser, it wouldn't give me any readings, and it kept saying that there was no signal detected, and the screen was barely visible outside in the bright sun. Then I dropped the Almighty Tools tape measure. When I dropped it, the screen cover came off the front, but the tape measure still retracted fine, and the laser function worked properly. And in the bright sun, the screen is very visible. Lastly, I dropped the Recon T1 Tomahawk, and the tape measure still retracted fine, the green laser guide turned on, and the screen still functioned properly. So which tape measure is best? If you're looking for strictly a laser tape measure that gets the job done, I'd definitely go with the Bosch Blaze Laser Measure. It gives consistent and accurate measurements. The screen has big numbers on it that are bright enough to read outside. It's small enough to be portable and fit in your pocket, but it's mighty. It can handle some big drops and still function properly. But if you still like the versatility of a tape measure, I'd go with the Almighty Tools tape measure. The tape measure itself auto locks and retracts fast. The laser is consistent and accurate, and the screen doesn't give any problems reading it outside in the bright sun. Even though the screen cover came off in the front, it can take some drops and still function properly. If you're looking for a premium tape measure, the Recon T1 Tomahawk is just that. It honestly makes reading a tape measure so simple that a kid can do it. The measurement comes up on the screen, so you don't have to guess, and you can sound like a pro. You can save all your measurements on the e-paper display, and it also has an app that you can connect to and see your measurements there as well. The green laser guide is also a great feature, so if you're cutting or making marks, you can do them precisely. But which one would you choose? Let me know your picks in the comment section. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you got value from this content, be sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see me test some different gear out, test some different products, drop your suggestions into the comment section, and I'd love to check it out. All right, we'll see you next week.